Hi everybody, welcome to art class. I'm Laurel. We have a new project for our new week. I had a couple of friends last week that requested animals, and so I'm going to show you some tricks and tips for drawing animals, and we're also going to talk today about texture. Texture is the way something looks and feels. So there are a couple different kinds of texture we're going to talk about today. Actual texture is the way something actually feels. You can touch it, you can feel it, it feels rough, it feels bumpy, it feels smooth, whatever way it feels is the texture. There's also visual texture, which happens when something looks like it would feel rough or bumpy or smooth. But you touch it, like up here, it looks a little rough. Really, it just feels smooth like paper. So those are the two kinds of textures we're going to work with today. And in a little while, you're going to hit pause and you're going to go on a texture hunt around your house. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes. First, I want to talk about drawing animals. Like I said, I'm going to show you some tricks for drawing animals, and you can use these tricks for drawing anything. Today we're working on animals, and I know animals can be really tricky sometimes. Sometimes kiddos get frustrated with that. So if you're having a hard time, no problem, hit pause, come back to us when you feel ready. So what you need today is scissors, glue, your paper, any kind of paper will work today, some crayons, broken crayons are just fine for this project, and you'll see why in a few minutes, and a pencil. So hit pause, go grab your supplies, and come on back. So what we're gonna do to draw your animals is we're gonna break those animals down into simple shapes. So and what I mean by that is we'll take the full animal's body, instead of drawing the whole body all at one time, we're gonna draw it piece by piece. So you can see up here I've done a pig, I've done a snake. You can do any kind of animal you want. My favorite animal, guys, is a giraffe. I think they're super cool. They're my favorite thing to see at the zoo. That's what I want to draw today. They have that long neck, they're beautiful, they're graceful, they're cool animals. So for a giraffe, and for most animals, you're gonna start with their body. Usually the body of an animal is some sort of an oval. Same thing for my giraffe. I'm gonna draw, for my giraffe's body, I'm gonna draw a big oval. Simple shape, okay? And then for the neck, I'm gonna draw a long, skinny rectangle. Seem about right? Now these shapes that I'm drawing, guys, this is kind of like the skeleton of the animal. You're not gonna see these shapes when it's all done, but they kind of help us to get everything where it needs to go. So the head for a giraffe, I think it's kind of a triangle shape. Maybe something like that. He has these two little ears up here, and he has, giraffes kind of have those little horns on them. And then they have long, skinny legs. So again, long, skinny rectangles. For a giraffe, it might be a little bit different for the animal you're drawing. That back leg I made a little wider on top. They kind of start out wide and they get skinnier. So find the shapes that you need for your animal. They may be different. The head of your animal might be a circle, it might be an oval. Mine was kind of a triangle shape. So you have to decide for you what shapes you need. If you need to look up a picture of that animal to help you, go ahead and do that. And then break it down into those simple shapes. So what we need now is our animal's home. So giraffes live in the savannah, lots of grass, not a lot of trees, but they do need some trees to eat those leaves up there. So there's got to be some trees around. So maybe I'll just draw one tree. So I'm going to keep this really simple. So maybe I'll give them some tall grass. Your animal might live on a farm, they might live in the water, they might live in the forest. Think about where your animal is gonna live. So I'm gonna give them some grass. Oh guys, I forgot my tail. Poor giraffe doesn't have a tail, there we go. And I think I'll give them just one tree, because they need some trees around, because they need to eat those leaves way up high. That's why they have those long necks. So here we go. There's a tree, keeping it simple. There we go. There's my simple tree. And that's all I'm going to do for his home for now. All right, once your animal is finished, you have their home. If you need to catch up right now, hit pause, catch up, get that part finished. And then what I want you to do is I want you to walk around your house, maybe even go outside and go on a texture hunt. And you're gonna have to use your hands for this, guys. So you're gonna walk around, find little things that you can use for texture on your picture. I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you a few examples that I have. I found some fabric, and it's soft. It also has some designs. I'm gonna use this kind of fabric for the texture on my giraffe. Even though it doesn't really have a giraffe pattern, it has some of the same colors. That's a visual texture. Another thing I found around my house, I have this burlap, if you can see that. It's a nice and rough texture on that. I also found, now of course this isn't something that I can cut up, but we can still use it, and I'll show you how. A lot of you may have something like this. This is a Lego board, so that feels really bumpy. I also walked outside and I found some leaves, these little leaves. There's not a ton of leaves on the trees right now, but I pulled some out of my grass, out of the grass. I found these in the grass. A few different kinds. I found these kind of leaves. With leaves, you'll find the most texture is on the back because they have those veins on them. I also found some clover. Same thing, and I'll show you how I can use those. You can glue them right onto your paper, and I did glue a little flower right onto that paper, but we can also use them in a different way, and I'll show you in a minute. It's also that time of year, guys. I have some Easter grass. A couple ways you can make texture. I did this for my pig. Just take your paper, crumple it up, and that way you know your texture is the color you want it to be. If you have construction paper, you should have lots of different colors. Or you can color the white paper to make it the color that you want. And then it's nice and rough. That's texture. I'll show you one more trick here that you can use. If you have scissors, you can take any color construction paper. You can just cut little slits in it. That would make really nice grass. It could make really nice hair. Maybe you have like a horse with a mane or something. That's a really great texture for that. Maybe you have different kinds of textures at your house. That's why you're gonna look around. So hit pause, take a few minutes, walk around your house, try to find maybe 4 or 5 different textures that you can use for your animal and their home. So for my tree, I'm gonna use this texture, I think, for the bark. Bark of the tree is really kind of bumpy, rough. So what I'm gonna do, it's a little tricky holding it up straight. You'll be working on a flat surface, so it should be a little easier. I'm gonna put this under my paper. I'm gonna take my broken crayon, and I'm gonna turn it sideways. This is why broken crayons work really great for this project. I'm gonna turn it sideways, and look what you can start to see, guys. Texture. Move it down a little bit. How great is that? That's pretty fun, huh? So that, I can't actually feel it. That's visual texture. This is actual texture. I can actually feel it. This is visual texture. I can see it with my eyes. It looks like it would feel rough. Maybe for that tree up there, for the leaves, I might use some of my Easter grass. You might have some of that around. If you don't have any, you might be able to even make it with some paper. You can just cut your paper up into slices. There's lots of ways to make texture if you don't have a lot around your house. So my whole goal is just for you guys to be able to use what you have at home, not have to spend money, run out to the store. One more on there. You can see up here on this one, I use this for the grass, for the Easter grass for the grass. So use what you have at home, guys. No reason to spend money or have to try to get out of the house to the store. All right. Let's see. I'm going to do another rubbing. I'm going to leave my giraffe for last. I'm going to leave his texture for last. I'm going to work on all around. So you can see what I did up here. I kind of felt like this clover was sort of cloud shape. I thought it might make a good cloud. So I'm going to, once again, put this under my paper. a little tricky while it's standing up. I'm gonna use my broken blue crayon, turn it sideways. Look at that, beautiful. Got some clouds in the sky. Fill up all that sky with blue. I can move this again. My giraffe is taking up so much of my space here, which is good. We want that animal to fill up your space. There we go. Perfect. That nice cloudy sky. So that's one way to make texture. For my grass, I think that I will use, see the texture of these little leaves here? Those are kind of grassy looking, really fine texture. So I'll put that under here. I will take my green broken crayon and I'm gonna rub that the best I can. Try to get some of that texture in there. Beautiful. Scooch it over here. Get some more grass. I've got lots of grass down here. You can see up here my pig. I gave him some mud. He likes to have mud. Oops. Grab a little more here. Pigs like to have mud to keep themselves cool. So I gave him that. Think about what your animal might have in their home, what kind of things they might have around them, where they live, what they like, even what kind of food they eat. All of those things you can put in their home. All right, so that is my animal's home. Now, I'm gonna come back to my giraffe. So far I have his skeleton, just those shapes. We're gonna get rid of those shapes, but first we need to draw his outline, his skin. So I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm just gonna kind of trace around those shapes, and I'm gonna give him a little better shape outline, what he really looks like, what the outside of him is really shaped like. Those shapes work as kind of a guide, but now I really want to kind of perfect it, and then I can go back and I can erase those shapes. You see that? Then I really start to get the shape of my giraffe. I think his neck needs to be a little skinnier on top and wider on the bottom. That's what that eraser is there for, guys. Just kind of work it until you like it. If there's an area that you don't like, don't get frustrated and start over. Just fix that area. How's that look? I think this leg is a little wide down here. I better fix that. They have those skinny little legs and hoofs. So if you were just drawing your animal, now you could go and you could add their details, their eyes, their pattern, all those things. However, because we're doing things a little bit differently today, we're gonna start cutting out shapes. Just like we use shapes, simple shapes to draw your giraffe, we're gonna use simple shapes to cut out of your texture, whatever texture you chose. We're gonna glue those on. So instead of cutting out an entire animal from our fabric, we're just gonna cut it shape by shape. So this is his body. This is that oval. Now you don't need a lot of glue, guys. Maybe just a couple dots. I'm sure your teachers have told you before, just a dot, not a lot. We don't need a whole lot of glue on that. So there's his body, his torso, the main part of his body. Let's see, I've got kind of a rectangle for his neck, although I made it a little wider at the bottom. The base of their neck is a little wider, and then it gets skinnier towards the top. So I'll glue that on. Add a few dots of glue to that. Just a dot, not a lot. There's that. And his kind of triangle shaped head. Small, I really don't need a lot of glue on that one. Stick that on. And let's see, his legs, cut out those shapes, simple shapes. Again, his legs are kind of wider at the top, and then they get long and skinny at the bottom. All those strong muscles are up at the top. So there is that. And one more. Stick that guy on. there's that. Almost forgot his tail. They have really little skinny tails for their big bodies. Kind of like an elephant. They have those big round bodies, tiny little skinny tails. Oh, I can't forget his ears up there at the top. There we go. If you need to hit pause, guys, to get caught up, go ahead and do that. There is no rush. You got all the time you need. Give them some skinny little, actually they have kind of tall ears. So I'll give them some nice tall ears. Definitely don't need a lot of glue on those. You see my little ear there? Just a tiny little dot of glue on that. If you get too much glue, it takes too long to dry. It kind of makes a mess. So I just have a tiny little dot. Stick that on. Goes off my paper a little bit. That's okay. No problem. All right, that's my giraffe. I can spend a little time if I want to. I can give them eyes, give them a mouth, add some details. Whatever details you want to add to your animal. If there's anything else you want to do in the background, that is totally up to you. But today we learned a trick for drawing animals. You can take that trick and you can draw anything, guys. You could draw a tree, you could draw a building, you could draw a car. Break it down into smaller shapes and then draw your outline around it. Alrighty? We also learned about actual texture and visual texture. Actual texture you can actually feel, you can actually touch it and feel it. It's soft, bumpy, rough, smooth. Visual texture looks rough or bumpy or smooth, but when you touch it, really, it doesn't have much of a texture. It's just visual. You see with your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I had a great time. I hope that your projects turn out beautiful. I hope I get to see some of them. I hope that you have a great week and everybody stays healthy in your house, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks. Bye.